What's up, people? It's your boy, the hip hop doc, Dr. Rani Whitfield, and you're listening to Talk with Taj. Peace. I'm out.
What's up, people? It's your boy, Dr. Rani Whitfield, a.k.a. the hip hop doc, and you're listening to the Talk with Taj show. Peace.
The new platinum voice of talk radio is Longino, host of Talk with Taj. Log on at www.talkwithtaj.com.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Kelly Price.
What's up, world? It's your boy Trey Chaney from The Wyatt.
Hey everyone, I'm Gloria Govan.
Yo, it's your boy Joe Starr.
And you are listening to Talk with Taj.
The Talk with Taj show. With the Talk with Taj show.
Caught me on the Talk with Taj show.
Keep it locked.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Talk with Taj show. Man, log on to the official website right now at www.talkwithtaj.com. And also download the official Talk with Taj show app for your Android, your iPad, your iPhone, and your BlackBerry. All right, it's ready for you right now. It's free. Get all the celebrity news and interviews right here on the Talk with Taj show. I got a special guest on the line, and we are definitely about to get into some very serious conversation, some in-depth conversation, some information you need to know. If you're about your health, if you're about staying healthy, eating right, and working out every day, and want to know the right things to do to keep you and your family in health for as long as you can, this is the interview you need to listen to. They call him the Hip Hop Doc. All right. Welcome to the Talk with Taj show, Rani Whitfield.
Taj, what's going on, brother?
Not much, man. How's everything going?
It's going well. A little cold down here in the south right now. We're not used to this weather, but I'm hanging in there. Definitely hanging in there.
Try 30 below zero, brother, and I guarantee you'll go back down there in shorts.
Oh, yeah. We're not even close to that. That's why I'm not complaining, man. I'm not complaining at all.
Now, one thing I would like for you to do for the people.
Yes, sir.
For one, explain to the people who you are, a little bit about yourself. Right. And two, tell them how you came up or how you got the name or earned the name, the Hip Hop Doc.
Well, like you said, my name is Rani Whitfield. I'm a family practice sports medicine physician from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And the name, the Hip Hop Doc, long story short, several people called me that because I was trying to find a way to engage young people when it comes to their health. Our young people are dying mainly because of preventable and treatable illnesses. You're talking about homicides, suicides, and accidents. So when I was in college playing a little junior college ball, and, we ran it a little bit earlier, talked about that offline, about, our past. I was playing a little junior college basketball in Florida, running up to Valdosta in Georgia and Atlanta, hanging out. We would go out to talk to kids, and we would rap to engage them. And at that time, it was just more about violence and crime in the communities. I was playing junior college basketball in Florida. Well, when I got to med school, I would spin records at the parties after we would have major tests, and a couple people started calling me Hip Hop Doc because I was doing a little something on the ones and twos. And when I got to my residency program, that name carried because I continued to speak to young people in the community. And so really the young people in the communities that I spoke to, the name just kind of took as the Hip Hop Doc. And now Taj has gone from, just speaking, to local churches and civic groups in the community to traveling across the country. And now I can say I've traveled the world as the Hip Hop Doc. I went to Uganda last year and actually spoke to students in Uganda using the Hip Hop Doc, my platform, which includes, music CDs. I work with D1, who's just signed with RCA. I work with a guy named Love and Pain. And I've got 4 comic books, a website, and I'm a national spokesperson for the American Heart Association as Dr. Rani Whitfield, a.k.a. the Hip Hop Doc. So for them to allow me to use that name to help deliver health messages, man, it's been a blessing and definitely a strong platform for me to try to get health messages out to our community. And I'll be honest with you, Taj, at first, bro, I was not received too well. A lot of people like this 40-something-year-old man out here rapping and, trying to engage people. Now I can't turn a talk down. So I had to really talk to my plate. So, and you know how the community can be. They can be a little rough on you at first until they understand what your mission is. And that's all. That's good. I went through the players process, and now I'm in the loop, and I'm on your show today, so that shows you that I've arrived. When I'm on the Talk with Todd show, I know I've arrived.
Appreciate that.
Yes,
Appreciate that. TalkWithTaj.com. Log on to the Hip Hop Doc official website at h2doc.com. All right.
Yes, sir. That's it.
I think our community, our people, we have been played by so many people who we trusted and believed in. that when somebody new comes along, we got to make sure
You're right.
that they are genuine, they're authentic, they're solid, and they really mean what they, what their goal is and what they mean, what they say. And we just need to know that. So I'm pretty sure now that they regret even giving you a hard time because they know that you really mean, you mean well.
Well, I understood it though, and like I said, it is what it is. But now that I'm in the loop, I'm able to deliver those messages. But it comes with a huge responsibility because I feel like I'm responsible for my people. So when I do small churches or I do national media, my messages have to be on point, and I need to know what I'm talking about. So even while we speak, early today, I've been reviewing and studying, and I'm doing a campaign with the American Heart Association that I'll share with you, at some point during the interview. But I've been very blessed, Todd. So. But again, with that honor or that badge comes a lot of responsibility, and I'm responsible for my community. I'm responsible for my family and my beautiful 8-year-old daughter. So I got to take care of business and handle business in the proper way. So, but I enjoy it. It's a challenge, and I enjoy it.
Now, speaking of all the things that you do, and I'm glad you mentioned that because when I was reading about you, I mean, brother, it doesn't stop.
Yeah,
and the first thing I said to myself was, and I wasn't even halfway through the bio.
Right.
How does he have time to do all this? So my next question is, which is going to come later, but I got to ask you now since you said that.
Right.
How do you have the time, the personal time, the family time, the business time, the practice time? How do you have time? You're juggling and wearing so many hats. How do you have the time to do all this?
It's time management. I'm blessed to have an awesome staff. I got an awesome mother who's still, my mom is 70. I can't say age, she get mad, but she's 70 plus. That got me in trouble anyway, but she's 70 plus, and really she's 75. My dad's 77. They're both in good health. They help me out. Have a wonderful girlfriend. I'm just blessed, man. It's time management, and I think everybody knows what I'm passionate about doing. And in many instances, you may see me at a local event speaking about heart disease, and you look in the crowd and you see my daughter, with some of the kids out there hanging out with her. And they, the community's kind of embraced my child because they've embraced me. So it's just time management, man. If Todd, just like you find time to make this show happen and get great guests on your show. You just make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So there are days when I'm tired. There are days when I'm like, man, I could go to sleep. But once I get to these events and I get on the phone with great people like you, I just get re-inspired and motivated again. But you have to have some structure to what you do. You have to have time management. And there are days when things are a little hairy and the office is a little crazy, and you never can predict what's going to happen in the office of the patient. So that can kind of sometimes throw things off balance, but my patients are my priority. But I try to make sure things are structured and scheduled well so that I can get out and do things in the community. And I think that's when my practice continues to grow. I mean, I'm a primary care doctor in Baton Rouge, family practice doctor, and my practice is continuing to grow because I do stuff in the community. So, I think African-American physicians need to continue to going out in the communities and speaking at churches, speaking at group homes, wherever they can go to reach the people and dispel some of those myths that the African Americans had about physicians in the medical community. And that's just how I do it.
Right. Now let's get into some information that people really need to hear about, especially in our community.
Right.
Okay? Right. What is the leading cause of death in African Americans when it comes to a health issue?
Health issues. The leading cause of death, and not just African Americans, but all Americans, is heart disease, and it has been the leading cause of death since we've been doing statistics on death, except for 1 year, and I think that was 1918 when the plague and pneumonia was killing folks more than heart disease. So we're going to talk about substance abuse. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about HIV. But the leading cause of death for African Americans, hands down, no questions about it, is heart disease, and that's why I've been proud to be a spokesperson for the American Heart and American Stroke Association for over 10 years now. I've been doing many campaigns and currently doing something with Latisse Crawford. She was on Sunday's Best. She didn't come in first place, but in my opinion, she won the hearts of Americans. Now we're doing a campaign to raise awareness about stroke because her grandmother, before she passed, had 7 strokes. And
wow.
She's really moved and passionate about, raising awareness about stroke awareness and heart disease. And so, yeah, man, it's just that is the number one. That's our main issue. And that is something that is largely preventable and treatable if you know what you're doing.
What causes heart disease?
Well, in our communities, we have high rates of high blood pressure. Actually, African Americans have the highest rates of high blood pressure in the world. We have high rates of high cholesterol and high rates of diabetes. And if you've had a previous heart attack or stroke or a history of heart disease and a stroke, these are also risk factors for heart disease. Heart disease is basically a disease of the blood vessels in the body. So if it's affecting the brain, it's a stroke. If it's affecting the heart, it's a heart disease. And if it's affecting the blood vessels in the legs or the lower extremities, that's called peripheral vascular disease. So anything that affects the blood vessels and blood flow in the body that can cause, strokes, blockages in the lower blood vessels is considered a form of heart disease. And so our risk factors include things that we can change, like our blood pressure, our diabetes, our cholesterol. But it also has risk factors that we can't change, like being African American, being a male. Males tend to have more heart disease than women up to a certain age. Genetics and family history. If you have a strong family history, those are things that you cannot change. But the modifiable or the changeable risk factors, like managing your blood pressure, managing your cholesterol, these are things that we can change. And so that's why it's important to get these messages out.
Okay. 2-part question.
Yes, sir.
Give some steps people can do to help either prevent it or what can they do to make sure that they can reduce the risk of getting heart disease, and also why is it so hard for men to go to the doctor and get themselves checked out?
We might need to bring Dr. Relaford back on here. I know you had Dr. Relaford back on. And for those who don't know about Doc, he did a program about the barbershop initiative, which has spawned so much interest across the country, and a lot of guys have their own versions of that. But if you can get black men to go to the doctor, you gotta, and we're gonna come back to that. But in real simple terms, there's 7 things that we can do right now to start the day. And I know a lot of people out there probably started New Year's resolutions and didn't quite complete them. But that doesn't mean we need to give up on those resolutions. We just need to get started and get going again. But 7 things I'm gonna give you, Taj, and you heard it first on the Taj Talk with Taj show. We've got to manage 3 things. Those 3 things are managing our blood pressure, our blood cholesterol, and our blood sugar. And if you don't go to the doctor, how in the heck you going to know if anything is wrong with any of those 3 things? Secondly, you've got to stop smoking. If you smoke, cigarette smoking is the single most preventable cause of death in our country. We've got to stop smoking today. We've got to maintain a healthy weight. We've got to be physically active at least 30 minutes to an hour each day. And that's for all people, no matter what age, color, race, or creed you are. We've got to be physically active. And we've got to have a healthy diet. And I mean, the more you read about these different diets, it can become quite confusing. You got these fad diets. They got some people that are fruitarians, but all they do is eat fruit all day and drink water. So it's so extreme out there, you get quite confused. But there's some basic things we know can prevent your life, and that is eating the plant-based diets. Diets that are high in fruits, vegetables, and fibers, low in saturated fats. A lot of the red meat and stuff that's fried. I'm from the South, man. We fry it all, from turkeys to cucumbers.
Yeah.
If they got some grease around, you can drop some in it. So you throw a little Zatarain seasoning on there and drop it in the grease, and you're frying it. So those are what we call Life Simple 7, the 7 checklist things that we can do, like, again, managing our blood pressure, blood cholesterol, and blood sugar, and you can only do that by seeing a doctor on a regular basis. And then, of course, stopping smoking, maintaining a healthy weight, being physically active, and maintaining a healthy diet. And that's how you reduce your risk or prevent these things like strokes and heart attacks from happening.
Okay. What is the second leading cause of death amongst Americans?
Amongst Americans and African Americans is still cancer. And there are a lot of health disparities when we talk about all of these things when it comes to African Americans. We tend to be... I'm sorry, go ahead, Tasha. Go ahead.
Not because I want to stop you there, because I want to, in our eyes, okay, when we turn on the news every day,
right,
we got another family member or another coworker or another celebrity that died of cancer.
Right.
But you said the leading cause of death is heart disease.
Right.
Now, how is heart disease the leading cause, but it appears that cancer is the leading cause? You got breast cancer, you got lung cancer, you got prostate cancer, you have a lot of cancer.
Right.
Okay. So explain that one to me, then come back to
cancer itself.
Yes.
Well, it's one of those things. It's that C, that big C. When people hear that big C, that cancer word, it's just scary. And heart disease. You hear about the heart attacks and you hear about the strokes. And one thing I did mention about strokes is the leading cause of disability in our country. So it's not just dying from a stroke; it's living after that stroke that can be quite hard on not just the patient but the families. But it's just that word, that cancer word. People are fearful of hearing the word cancer. I diagnosed a young brother this year. He's 56, and to me, 56 is young, who had been refusing to get a colonoscopy charge. A colonoscopy is to check that colon for prostate cancer, a screening colonoscopy, and he had a strong family history of colon cancer. He refused to get that colon screening for years because he was scared to find out if he had cancer. And I know if we had gotten that colon screening done maybe 5 or 6 years before, we could have removed some precancerous lesions in his colon. But because he refused to get it done, we diagnosed him with colon cancer, and it was in a later stage. And again, when it comes to health disparities in African Americans, part of the problem is we get diagnosed later in the stage of disease and get treated less aggressively. And part of that is our fault. You know, there's got to be some personal responsibility. If you know, especially if you're blessed enough to have access to health care in this country, if you got a doctor and you got insurance, you got to do those screenings that are recommended, because the reason we do them is to prevent prostate cancer from developing, to prevent breast cancer from developing, or to treat them when we can detect them. So I think it's just a stigma behind that word cancer. People are so scared of that word, and that's why you see so much behind it. Then you got to take campaigns like the breast cancer campaign. The color pink has become very popular in our country, almost in a bad sense. My sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's a survivor doing well. My mother had parotid gland cancer. My dad had prostate cancer. So I got cancer all throughout my family. So not only is that motivation for me to do better, but I also know that these things do exist. But again, you got to go back. Still, the number one killer of all people is heart disease, whether you're black, white, African American, doesn't matter what color you are in this country. And many of the things that connect the two, there actually are some links between heart disease and cancer, go back to our diet and our lifestyle. So, you know, eating healthier, you know, avoiding certain foods can prevent heart disease, but it can also reduce your risk of some cancers as well.
Okay. Talk with Taj, right here with the Hip Hop Doc. Log on to the official website at talkwithtaj.com. Download the app, the Talk with Taj Show app, and also log on to the official website for the Hip Hop Doc for more information, h2doc.com.
That's right.
Trust me, I like this website as well, man. This website is, I haven't even had a chance to go through the whole thing. But this is a very nice site, very informative. Also, if you go on the website, you will see a section off to your right where it says, purchase the Pretty in Pink song and ringtones, a donation. Also underneath that, you will see Wear Pink, Get Noticed. There's a barbershop initiative on here, blogs, latest news, videos, interviews, photo galleries. There's a section on there for parents and teachers. Everything is on there. Contact information. So log on to h2doc.com. Right? Find him on Instagram. Find him on Twitter. Find him on Facebook. Now, when it comes to cancer, comes to heart disease, and we've already talked a little bit about men not going to the doctor regularly. Now, let's say, because even I've done this for years, you know, and I'm in my 30s, but I've done this for years. We've been eating McDonald's, we've been eating fast food and junk food since we could walk. And when you do something, some of the same thing for so long, you don't even realize there's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of give an example from men and women when they can notice their body changes, when there's a problem, when they should go finally get checked out. Because you do something for so long, you may not even realize something's even wrong with you.
Right. Taj, I did a media tour with the wonderful Cicely Tyson, who actually I have become a friend of and was honored to speak at her school in New Jersey. Did a keynote speech to her students. She has a performer in our school in New Jersey. And during this media tour, she said something that was so profound but so simple. And she basically said to an interviewer, we were talking about heart disease and stroke, and she said, when things start falling off on you, you need to go get them checked out. And I looked at Ms. Tyson. I wanted to laugh. We were on national TV, and I'm trying not to laugh. Like, did Ms. Tyson just say this to these people? But she's so true. She's so correct about what she said. Because in many instances, again, we will come to the doctor 6 months after that chest pain, or 5 months after swelling in the left leg, you know, or 2 months after this headache that hadn't gone away, that didn't respond to any medications. And by then, the tumor has grown. The cancer has spread. So the problem, I think, in many instances is that there's either a fear of the diagnosis that we may find out something's wrong. There is a neglect because you're saying, I got to take care of my family, so I'm not going to go to the doctor, which makes no sense because if I diagnose you with something that can't be treated in the later stages, you're going to lose that family responsibility or not be able to take care of your family anyway. So there's so many instances and so many reasons why people don't go to the doctor. And then, of course, there's the lack of access to affordable health care. One other thing that I do as well, I'm on the National Association of Free and Charitable Clinics. and they do large free clinics around the country, but there's also a huge network of free clinics where people can get access to health care, but many people don't know about these resources in the community. So, we tend to ignore the warning signs and symptoms of heart disease, of stroke, of cancers, and by the time we do get to the doctor, a loved one makes us go, or we just get so scared, or something so bad you don't have a choice to go, it's usually too late to treat it. You're doing palliative care. You're just making sure the person is comfortable. So if you notice something in your body that's bleeding, that's leaking, that's hurting, that's swelling, it's not a time to go take an aspirin and lay down. Another thing the African Americans tend to do, they will call their family members right away. Oh, mama, my head hurting. Well, baby, go lay down, put some sweet oil in your ear. No, you got to go to the doctor, Todd. You got to get checked out. And even if you don't have insurance, the emergency rooms, even though they say they can't, they try to, but they can't turn you away legally. You got to go get checked out, and you can deal with that bill later, because your health, in my opinion, I tell it to my young people all the time, the most important thing that you possess in your life is health. You can't be a successful lawyer, attorney, doctor, talk show host if you do not have your health.
All right, Hip Hop Doc, right here on the Talk with Todd show. Log on to the official website at talkwithtodd.com. Now let's talk about another thing that affects Americans, and I'm pretty sure it's definitely in our community: heart attacks, diabetes, and stroke. We already got health diseases, the number one killer.
Right.
We got cancers next up.
Right.
Now, let's talk heart attacks, diabetes, and stroke. Now, with all these different diseases,
yeah,
there's a lot to worry about on a person. You got to watch what you eat, because what you can eat
right.
can lead to a heart attack or a stroke, or it's a cancer, or if you smoke, you get lung cancer or any type of cancers. So, I guess let me ask this before I go into that.
Okay.
Let's talk about the heart attacks, the diabetes, and strokes. And then I want to talk about what kind of, from the moment the person wakes up to they go to sleep, what kind of lifestyle, diet-wise, exercise-wise, should they live? Because we're in a society, we live in a society where it's not, people, we go out all the time, we traveling, and if you go down any highway or any city street, you're not passing the health market. You're passing the McDonald's or your restaurant or something. So the need or the want for nice quality healthy food is not out there. Everything else is out there. Your fast food, everything we shouldn't eat, but stuff we should eat is not right there at arms. It's not there when we get out of the movies. It's not there when we leave the clubs. It's not there when we leave a concert, or if we're driving out of town or on a business trip, or we head to a business meeting. There's not a lot of places to stop and get that necessary diet or that right food that we're supposed to eat, or the right drink. Right. So let's talk about heart attacks, diabetes, and the stroke, and then talk about what can people do, what should they eat, and things of that nature. So, and because another thing, that food, we all know, good food really don't taste good. The healthy stuff really don't taste good. The bad stuff tastes great, right? That's why we eat it every day.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the heart attacks, diabetes, strokes, and then let's talk about the diet. So, heart attacks, diabetes, and strokes. Let's talk about how those things happen and how we can try to prevent some of that.
Well, let me go into something real quick, Todd, then I'm going to head there, and I don't mean to try to direct the show, but I just want people to know that people can't eat healthy food if they can't get to it or they can't afford it. So having a supermarket in the neighborhood definitely increases, the neighborhood's access to fruit and vegetables, especially if you have the freestanding, fruit and vegetable markets, and I don't know what they call them in the area, but we have some in our area where you can just go get seasonal fruits and vegetables. In our country, about 30 million Americans live in low-income urban and rural neighborhoods that are more than 1 mile from a supermarket. So they're accessing these fast food little spots, or they're accessing, convenience stores, where you used to go get gas, but gas is almost secondary to everything they got in the store now. Low-income neighborhoods have about 50% fewer supermarkets than the wealthiest neighborhoods. So that's a huge disparity. So, again, there's an access issue. If you don't have access to healthy foods, how are you going to get them? So, some people can't get on the bus or don't want to walk in the snow or walk through a rough neighborhood to get to these healthy foods. Going back to it, all of these things are linked to, when you talked about heart disease, diabetes, stroke, they're all directly linked. If you control the risk factors for diabetes, you control the risk factors for heart disease and stroke. If you control the risk factors for heart disease, you control the risk factors for diabetes and stroke. So I'm going to take you right back to where we went earlier. It's called Life Simple 7, and part of Life Simple 7 is managing the blood sugar, the cholesterol, and the weight. And how you do that, you have to see your doctor. Blood sugar, which is directly linked to a cause of diabetes, and people say it's the sugar in the diet that causes.
Hold on. Say that last part again. Kind of went out a little bit.
Okay. Diabetes is a problem with your body's ability to break down and metabolize blood sugar. It has nothing to do with, well, I won't say it has nothing to do with, but a lot of people think it's that you ate too much candy and that caused diabetes. There's people who eat candy and sugar and sweets all day long and never have a problem with blood sugar. That is a direct problem with your body's ability to metabolize or break down sugar. It's the pancreas in our body that does that. And high blood sugar encourages the growth of plaque. And plaque is what is like a waxy, greasy substance that can get hard and solid and block the arteries. And that causes, in the heart disease, and in the brain, it causes strokes. So if you got blockages in the brain, like I said earlier, that causes stroke, blockages in the heart that causes stroke. So when you have diabetes, your chance of having a heart attack or stroke, especially African Americans, is twice as likely to happen than in other ethnic groups. As a population, we're twice as likely to have a heart attack or stroke than other ethnic groups. So all those things, you can't even separate them, Todd, really. And then I'm in the dirty South, which used to be called the Bible Belt, but now we call it the stroke belt, the HIV belt, the diabetes belt. There's so much diabetes, heart disease, obesity, high blood pressure in the South that we renamed it. We don't even call it the Bible Belt anymore. It's got a bunch of names, and none of them are positive. So all those things are directly linked. So when we go back to what can make us better, what we can do, we talk about eating a plant-based diet like the Mediterranean diet. These diets are good for your heart, for your weight, and for your overall health. And there's nothing in these diets that we haven't eaten. It's just the portion sizes of it, that this stuff is not processed, and that it is better for you overall. So they've been reviewed by several different companies. The DASH diet, which you may have heard of, that's something that people talk about when they talk about managing their blood pressure. Mayo Clinic diet, the vegetarian diet, but the basis behind it is to include weight loss to help the brain and heart be healthier. And the Mediterranean diet definitely does work, and I have a lot of my patients on the Mediterranean diet.
What foods should people stay away from? Now, you'll have some people tell you, take away sugar. Don't eat white rice. Eat brown rice. Don't eat white bread. Eat wheat bread. Don't do sugar at all. But then you have some people say your body needs sugar.
There's so much. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, it's so much out there.
Right.
Like even with workout tapes, right? There's thousands of workout tapes. There's so many ways that professional trainers will tell you how to train and what you need to do. What is the right way, and what foods should people stay away from?
In my humble opinion, and I've been practicing medicine for 13 years, first of all, most people are not going to stick to these extreme diets. Especially, and it's perfect that we're talking about this in January, because this is New Year's, and a lot of folks are, I'm going to eat 7 apples a day for 8 months, and, some crazy stuff comes through the door, guys. I'm like, that's not sustainable. You got to give me something that you can realistically do. So you're going to be shocked at this answer when I give it to you, Taj, but I'm all about moderation and balance. And honestly, pretty much any food that you eat can fit into a healthy diet, including a can of Coca-Cola or a slice of pizza or chocolate.
Whoa.
But it's about, yeah, exactly. But it's about moderation and balance. And we're not doing that. So a lot of people, you probably got some callers in or some listeners like, say, man, what's this dude talking about? Well, first of all, that same person that's probably saying that is not being realistic about what they're doing in their own livelihoods. A lot of people, they'll show you something today, but what they're actually doing at home is not how they're actually living. So, being properly prepared, like I prepare meals at home. Like you asked me how I manage this stuff. I cook on Sundays, sometimes 2 or 3 different dishes. Pack those dishes up, freeze some stuff so that I can eat healthy throughout the week. Do I have a Coke? Do I have a slice of pizza? Do I have a cake? Yes. But, Todd, you can go on my Instagram page and see my workouts that I do on a regular basis. And I eat healthy the majority of the time. Do I slip? Do I have a bad day? Do I eat, too much white rice or that kind of stuff? Yes. What I'm telling you is that probably the best diet for us right now, plant-based diets that are high in fruits and vegetables, high in fiber. But I know that people, it's hard to do that, especially if you are living on a budget. The more healthier foods tend to be more expensive, and we just talked about the access to grocery stores and that kind of stuff in the community. So we got to be realistic about how you eat and what you eat. We don't need to have diets that are so high in red meat, but red meat for some people is very inexpensive and cheap, so they have to access it. But we have to use it or eat it. But we've got to eat more fruits and vegetables. And again, my one thing I always tell my patients is that fresh is best. Avoid things that are in cans. And when you're in the grocery store, you need to stay on the periphery of the grocery store. As you move into the center of the grocery store, that's where more of your processed and canned goods are that are high in sodium, high in some sugars, and it's not the best food. So if you stay in that frozen section and that fresh section that's usually on the outskirts of the grocery store, you're going to do a whole lot better than going to the center of the grocery store. And in the hood, they're going to have a health food section that's a little corner of the grocery store, but the rest of that stuff is in bags and it's packaged, and it's not the best stuff for you. So we got to try to first enforce policy that will allow us to have access to better foods in these communities, but then also be educated about where we shop. And there's guys in my community that do grocery store tours. So patients call them, they meet them, there's no charge, they go to the store, and the store will actually give the patients discounts on the food, because they're purchasing stuff. But these individuals take the patients through the store, show them where to shop, show them how to read labels, and educates them on the foods that are good for them, and then they know how to shop better for themselves.
You said something that I want to touch on.
Okay.
Because I fight with this all the time with myself when I go to the store. Okay? I was always told, stay away from preservatives. Stay away from canned vegetables. Buy fresh vegetables. Okay? But if you're like me, you don't know how to fix it. Right? And you're going to get like me, you're going to get frustrated when you bring that frozen bag of green beans home. You don't know how to prepare it. And it's going to go to waste.
You're right about that. You're right about that.
You're going to crack that can open, you're going to put it in that pot, turn the water on, and call it a good day. So if we're going to eat fresh vegetables and stay away from canned foods, how do you prepare that type of meal? How long does it take? I mean, we need to know this, because if you're like me, frustration lies in quick.
Well, what you got to, Todd, first of all, if you can read, you can cook. And so I tell a lot of my patients that say, I don't have time to cook and I don't do it. No, if you can read, you can cook. And a lot of this stuff, I made a dish the other day, chicken breasts, and it was butternut squash that they already had cut in the store. I ain't had to cut it. I went to the store, got some butternut squash, onions, mushrooms, sweet potatoes that were already cut in chunks, seasoned some chicken with some low salt seasoning, Jean-Pierre seasoning. One of my boys in Baton Rouge got his own seasoning, hooked up the little seasoning on both sides, put the stuff in the oven for an hour and a half, and was working around the house cleaning up, and it was done. So you got chicken breast with vegetables in there already. I mean, bro, if you could read, you could cook. So to me, that's an excuse, Todd. So I'm gonna be on you this year about your cooking, man. You could cook this stuff, bro. It's not that hard, but it is. I've done that before.
Let me stop you, man, because everybody an hour and a half to fix some vegetables. See, if you're on the move and you're like me, most people are, you don't got an hour and a half to wait on no fresh vegetables. You know what we're going to do? We're going to ride down here to this White Castle. We're going to get this number 6.
Man,
and we're
killing me. Well, no, what I'm telling you is that, I'm on the move, so I'm at home. I'm finally at the house. It took me 12 minutes to prepare that, because I bought some stuff. Because the grocery stores now, you can find the onions already cut up for you. Stuff is already kind of prepared. So I looked at the recipe in the book, got home, seasoned stuff, put it in the oven. Then I'm around checking emails, doing what I got to do, got my daughter straight. We started homework. So what I'm telling you is that, I prepared the meal. And, by the time I got the little odds and ends around the house done, the food was ready. So you're talking about an hour and a half, but you get home, you're checking the mail, you're checking the email, looking at the light bulb you were supposed to change the night before you rush around the house. So the food is in the oven, bro. So you moving and shaking, and then by the time the food is ready, you sit down, you get a bag of tossed salad, chop up a couple of tomatoes, man, and get your low-fat dressing. You got a whole meal. You got your protein with your meat. You got sweet potatoes and butternut squash and some onions and mushrooms, and you got a salad. Man, that's a whole meal. Drink you some water, bro. You good to go. So I'm just saying, we make excuses. The biggest excuse for not exercising is lack of time. And another excuse that I'm finding out for not cooking is lack of time. but you're going to have to eat something. And running through these fast food restaurants, first of all, the cost of that. So that meal I prepared, that stretches me out 2 to 3 days. I don't mind eating leftovers. So if I cook 2 meals on on a Sunday, by Friday, I'm just running out of food. So, that saved me money. It saved me time. I pack my lunches or my, meals before I leave the house at night. Get up in the morning, grab the stuff, put it in my bag, hit the gym, go to work, and my food is already there for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's about, again, time management and realizing that, again, the most important possession is your health. You got to just make time. So, we got an excuse for our sisters don't want to get their hair wet. They don't want to sweat. Come on. You know them. You know her. We ain't going to call them names tonight. But you know who I'm talking about. They don't want to sweat. They don't get their hair wet. Come on, ladies. We gotta quit making excuses about our bodies. You know what I'm saying? We gotta take care of ourselves. So, man, I can't let you off the hook on that one, Todd. I'm gonna be on you this year, man.
Hey, you know what? We gotta keep it moving. We're gonna be here all night. We gotta keep moving because I'm a very big Gloria Govan on the show, and she had a cookbook, and I was telling her the same thing. We was going at it. She's like, Todd, what are you doing? I'm not the only one here, okay?
I know.
Not the only one.
It's me and you tonight, man. And one quick thing, your boy has got a cookbook out because he has some stomach issues. 2 Chainz. And
does he?
2 Chainz has got a cookbook, man, and it's healthy dishes, salmon. It's really, I was really impressed. You got to buy the album to get the cookbook, so I ain't mad at him for the marketing and the money-making scheme. But it's an excellent cookbook with some really great recipes, and the main reason that he did that was because he had a history of stomach issues, and he had to prepare meals on the road. So, yeah, granted, he's got a little more money, a little more access, but even if he takes the time to do that, because, if you're a hip-hop artist, most of my hip-hop patients that come to me, Lil Boosie was one of my patients. He's not with us right now. He's in jail right now, but when he was with me and managed his diabetes, I would go off on him like, Boosie, you got to quit eating that bad stuff. He's like, Doc, you don't understand. I ain't got time on the road. But if you got the bread to hire a chef, and that's what I think 2 Chainz did. He had a chef on a tour bus with him. He came with a cookbook, and this cat has to eat a certain way because his stomach is messed up. So he's like, I can't eat and do certain things on the road. So it's possible, man.